Hi. I think it's live. Okay, I'm gonna wait a little bit and just see if anybody shows up. I did not do a very good job about like promoting that I was doing this live video. I don't know. I didn't even think about posting about it until this morning. Okay, so some people are joining. Hi, everyone. I'm also eating lunch right now, so I hope you're not going to be grossed out if I take a bite of food while I'm talking. This is going to be very casual. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and get started. And I am going to make this live. I mean, it'll be up for 24 hours. Oh, someone asked what's for lunch. It's like a frozen, I think the brand's called Evolve. Frozen chicken teriyaki. Nothing fancy. Okay, yeah, so this will, just so you know, if you have to pop out or something, this will be up for 24 hours. And I'm going to try, every time I've done a live video, I feel like I try to download it to my phone to save it so that I can put it up somewhere else. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I feel like sometimes my phone or the Wi-Fi will kind of cut out in the middle of it downloading, and then it doesn't give you a chance to re-download it. It's you just have one shot, and if it doesn't work, then it's over and it's gone. So we'll see if I can download it and make it available forever. Otherwise, it'll be up for 24 hours. Okay, so I'm just going to get started. So if you didn't know, I'm going to be talking about money and pricing as a freelancer or a business owner. And I've been talking about that a lot lately. And so first, I just kind of want to cover why I'm talking about it so much. One, I mean, I think at first I sort of just put the idea out there because I just felt I don't know, I had some thoughts. I didn't feel like a lot of people were talking about this, and I thought, why not? I'll share. But the responses that I've gotten as I've kept talking about it have been so amazing, and just it seems I don't know, it really resonates with a lot of people, and it's helpful to a lot of people just to be very honest about money like this. So that's kind of the first reason that I'm talking about it so much. But yeah, I think within, the entrepreneur world, the small business world, there's so much secrecy around money. People don't like to talk about it, which I totally get. It's not I did a blog post and I shared all of my real numbers, and I'm going to talk about those today too, but that was really scary to share what I actually made. That was kind of terrifying. And I get it. It's just not, it's kind of uncomfortable to share this type of stuff and talk about what we're making from our businesses. But it's important, I think. And so that's one big reason why I'm talking about it. Also, I think the people who are talking about this stuff within not just the design industry, but any, small business or creative industry, the only people who are talking about it are the people who have already reached a certain level of success. So, they're sharing, this is how I made $1 million, or this is how I made 6 figures this year. That's always the titles of, if you look for, money blog posts for entrepreneurs, those are the headlines that you're going to see. And that's great because obviously for a lot of us, the goal is to make a good amount of money. But the majority of us are not there yet. And so that can be really misleading whenever all we see are these people posting about how they're making huge incomes. Instantly, that just makes everyone else feel oh, I'm not making that. So obviously I'm doing something wrong. Obviously I'm not successful yet. I don't know. That's the big problem that I see. And I think is why I really wanted to talk about this in the first place, because people like me who were barely making, I'm trying to think, barely making 5 figures. Yeah, not even, no, I was barely making 4 figures. What am I thinking? Like my first year, I was barely making 4 figures. And people like me, we feel like we're not supposed to share that as like a win. Like it's embarrassing. And so we're not allowed to say that. That makes sense. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here, is just say, hey, I'm not making 6 figures. I'm nowhere close to making 6 figures. And that's a good thing for me. Like what I have done, I feel successful right now. And I think that should be shared so that other people can feel like they're allowed to feel successful as well. Yeah, and last thing, this is just stuff that I wish I had seen more people talking about whenever I first started, because there's a lot of confusion. I was really unsure of like what I was supposed to be charging for my services whenever I first started. So I priced myself super low, and I wasn't very confident in my prices. Even though they were really low, I wasn't confident in them, and all of that just affected the way that I communicated with my clients, the way that I approached, taking risks or trying to grow my business. It affected me so much because in my head, I'm just thinking, I'm not going to make 6 figures. I'm not going to be like a real business. I'm not going to be able to present myself as a legit business owner because I'm never going to reach that. That was my mindset, and that was really hurtful to me and limiting in a lot of ways. So that's just kind of why I am talking about this so much, and why I've found it to be like a new, a passion that like I just want to keep talking about it, because the more I talk about it, the more I hear people saying, yes, I feel the exact same way. Yeah. Okay, so now I wrote about a lot of this in one of my blog posts, if you might have already read it, but if not, I'm just going to kind of talk you through my income and kind of how all of that has changed. I've almost been running my business for 3 years now. And if you didn't know, I do graphic design and websites. So yeah, in June, it'll be 3 years. So a ton has changed, and I'm just going to share kind of how everything has evolved. So year 1, if you don't kind of know the story of why I started my business, I had just graduated from college. I'd had an internship for like 2 years, so I had a little bit of experience, but nothing that people in the real world would consider as real experience. And so I had gotten married. My husband, he had just gotten a job to work overseas, and his job would require us to travel a lot for like the next few years. So that's kind of why I started my own business to begin with, so that I could have something where I would be able to work regardless of where we traveled. And yeah, that was just the easiest option, because nobody was going to hire me in other countries on a tourist visa. So I started from literally the bottom. I had no experience. I had no idea how to run a business. Straight out of college, I was 22. Yeah, so starting was very hard. And I started in like June 2016. And between June and December, I only made like $4,000. And there were a lot of reasons for that. One, because I had no clients lined up. Most people, whenever they start their business, maybe they're transitioning from, a regular job at an agency or something, and then going into freelance. Maybe they'll start by doing it part-time and then eventually transition into full-time. But yeah, most people have like saved up money and, tried to get a group of possible clients lined up before they jump into freelancing full time. I didn't have that option because everything happened so quickly. So I really just had to go in with nothing to start with. So yeah, I made like $4,000 my first year. And I don't know, it's just because I had no clients. I think I had like maybe 3 clients total that whole time. Honestly, I can't remember. I should have looked it up. But yeah, and I was charging like $300 for not just a logo, but for like a full branding project, which is very cheap. Especially considering, I mean, I had just graduated from college, but the fact that I worked in a communications office for 2 years during college, and my responsibilities there were a lot. I was doing a lot more than a regular intern would do. So really, I did have experience and also my talent. I felt like, looking back, I was more talented than what I gave myself credit for. But in my mind, I thought, I'm inexperienced. I just graduated. I can't charge more than $300 for anything. I think I did a website for someone. It was a friend, so I obviously wasn't going to charge her a lot, but I did a full custom website, like coding it and everything. I think I charged $300 for that. So yeah, I was charging bare minimum, and so obviously, you know, it's no surprise that I made $4,000 because I was too scared. I felt like, you know, everything had happened so quickly. I had not planned on running a business. So in my mind, I was like, this can't be, there's no way this is going to work out. So what's the point in me trying to charge what I'm worth whenever I feel like this is just like a side thing, something else is going to happen, this is not going to be my real job. That's kind of what my mindset was like. And obviously that hurt me. Like, you know, I don't know. There was no way that I was going to make money if I was going into each project thinking, I'm not good enough to be doing this. Something else is going to happen. I'm just doing this for right now. So that just kind of is an explanation of like why I made that little money. But even though I only made $4,000, we were in a position where we travel for my husband's job, and wherever we go, he plays basketball. His team always provides our living situation. Usually they give us a car to drive while we're there. So we really don't have a lot of bills to pay. And that kind of, you know, made it okay that I made $4,000 for the year, but, you know, that didn't really hurt us. We were still living comfortably, and yeah, there wasn't a lot of pressure, which I was very lucky for that, because lots of people feel more pressure to make a bunch of money right away to pay bills and everything. So anyways, that was year 1. Very bad. Year 2 was whenever I started to kind of realize we were in Australia for year 1 for like that first summer, and then we moved to Denmark. So while we were in Denmark, I started year 2, and that was kind of when I realized, okay, this is going to have to be a permanent thing. We're going to keep traveling. I don't have other options. I need to figure out how to make this work. And again, I didn't need a lot of money, so I didn't put a ton of pressure on myself to make a lot right away. But I was starting to figure out how to run a business and everything like that. So I started attracting some clients. It was still very, very slow. I think I raised my prices at that point a little bit. Maybe I was still charging like under $1,000, I think, for stuff. But anyways, at the end of year 2, I made $9,000. So still crazy low. If you think about like any like junior designer job at an agency, like you're making what, 3 times that at least? I don't know. So yeah, still very, very low. And it's really just because I was struggling to attract clients, especially clients that were willing to pay. I was going through a tough transition because whenever I started, I made it obvious, I think, that I was young and I was unexperienced because I didn't have that confidence in myself. I felt like, I don't know, people saw that. I made it obvious that I was young, that I was willing to charge dirt cheap prices, and that kind of set expectations for other clients coming along that they were going to get that as well. So it was kind of a tough transition for me, trying to say, okay, no, actually, I am experienced. I do have stuff to offer. I need to try to charge what I'm worth. I don't know. It was just tough moving up and everything. But yeah, so then let's go to year 3. So year 3, and I'm doing this from like January to December. So this is going like really recent, like up until last December. So year 3, I made like just under $13,000. And again, that's so low. Like, it's embarrassing for me to say, but, and that is after expenses also. In case you were wondering, all of these numbers, these are after expenses. So I was, paying for stuff within my business, and this is just pure profit of what I was actually getting back. Now, year 3 was whenever I did start to get clients consistently. I've been getting clients consistently probably since last March, maybe, about a year. Yeah. And I've raised my prices. I raised my prices maybe twice last year. I can't remember. Just trying to figure out what I was able to charge, because since I was starting to attract clients more consistently, I was in a bit more high demand than I had been before. So I was able to raise my prices a little bit, but just really trying to feel out, who am I attracting? What types of budgets do they have? How much can I get away with with charging people? But again, I still barely made $13,000. So, that's not a normal income still. So that was a really big struggle. And that's where kind of this past December, I was kind of looking at, how much money I had made, obviously still feeling like this is not very much. For me, again, for our lifestyle, it was more than enough, because we don't have bills, and, all of that $13,000 is basically just going in my pocket. That's after expenses and everything. We were still able to live really comfortably off of that. But inside I was feeling like, I can keep going in this direction, not change anything, and just, make enough that I can live comfortably, but not feel like I'm a real business owner, because I'm not actually seeing a real profit from my work. Or I could try to figure out, how can I make this feel more like a real business? That there was this really big mindset shift that happened in December, because I knew that if I didn't make any changes at that point, I was going to kind of get stuck, because I felt like after those 3 years of working with different types of clients, figuring out my process, and just really learning how to run my business efficiently, it's like my prices hadn't changed that much, but the quality of my work and the strategy and just the efficientness of my process had changed a lot. So that's where I was kind of like, okay, something needs to change. I've built my business now to a point where I feel like I actually have the tools to make it really successful. So is that what I want to do? This whole time I'd been viewing myself as just a college student who was clueless and just like, I don't know, slapping things together and, just working off of talent alone and not really, understanding how to run a business. But with that 3 years of experience, I finally felt like, okay, I am a real business owner. I have the potential to be one of these real business owners that before I had looked at and said, oh, I'm never going to be like them. These people who were writing stuff about making 6 figures. I don't know. My perception of myself was really starting to change. So then all these new changes and stuff started happening in late December and then this January. And so the first quarter of this year, I made almost $20,000 in the first quarter. And again, it's like I'm talking about before, I'm talking about, you know, how all these people kind of almost bragging about how they made six figures and stuff. I'm not trying to say that like you should be making 20,000 in a quarter. I'm not saying that. It's like I didn't even have any financial goals. That was unexpected. All I did was try a couple new things, things that it's like I knew I should have been doing all along, but I was just too scared to try until then. And I ended up making more money than I had ever made before. More money in the first quarter than I made all of last year. None of that was planned. I wasn't doing anything to make the money. I was just trying things that I wanted to do within my business and see if it affected it positively or negatively, basically. So things that I did, I launched my course, and that was something that I'd been thinking about doing since like last October. And that was huge. I mean, that's probably where the most money came from, because I think I went from having like my bank account had, I don't know, somewhere between like $3,000 and $5,000, kind of fluctuating between those for like a whole year. And then all of a sudden I had like $18,000 in my bank account. And I don't know, it was just pretty wild that things had changed that quickly. And that all happened around whenever I launched my course, because obviously passive income works. It's very helpful. So that was a big factor. I also raised my prices, and some of that, I was working on my website from like December to February or something. I was fixing it so it was kind of down, and I didn't have my prices on there. Before then, I had always had my prices on my website, just because I felt, same as how I'm sharing this stuff with you now, I just wanted to be open about what I charged. But while I was working on my website earlier this year, I had taken the prices down because I was fixing some different pages. And during that time, I got inquiries from clients who said that their budgets were a lot higher than what I normally would have charged them. So I was able to, and I knew that my prices were lower than they could have been. So because of that, I was able to quote them closer to what I knew I was worth, rather than the cheaper prices that I'd put on my website. And I still go back and forth about having prices on my website or not. Like, I have them on there right now, sort of. I don't know. That's like a talk for another day. But I just want to make clear that I think raising my prices a little bit and charging more based on the value that I was offering, having my prices not on my website, giving me some freedom to charge more based on what the client needed. That was a big factor in me making so much more money during that first quarter. And then the last factor is I overbooked myself. That was also a very big thing that happened from like, I don't know, February to April. Basically just a few weeks ago, I was super overbooked. And of course that meant I made more money, but it was exhausting. And because I was also launching my course at the same time, it was just a lot. I was like losing my mind a little bit for a while, and, you know, working on weekends, which I hate to do. So also have to be honest about that. I made a bunch of more money, but yeah, I suffered a little bit because of that, because I was just working way too much at the same time. Okay, I'm going to go through, because some people have been asking questions, and I just want to like answer them while we're here. I'm going to try to find them all. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, so first someone asked if I went to college for graphic design. Yes, I did. Yeah, so that was also helpful in preparing me, even though I also took an entrepreneurship class in college, which at the time, I just took it because I thought it'd be, I don't know, fun. It was just kind of random that I took it, and yeah, but it was very helpful because a couple weeks later I realized, oh, I do actually have to start a business. I had no intentions of that. That's not why I took the class. But yeah, it was very helpful. Someone asked, is your made amount net or gross before expenses and taxes or after expenses and taxes? So it's after expenses. Any of the numbers that I've listed out here or in that blog post, those are after expenses. I don't know if it's after taxes. I can't remember. It might be. I think so. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through to see if there. Okay, someone asked, how do you structure your day/week? What's your workflow? I've talked about this a few times, mainly on Instagram a little bit. My work schedule changes quite a bit, especially since we travel. We usually move somewhere new like once or twice a year. And obviously every time that we move, that changes quite a bit. So I am not a very organized person. Whenever things are too structured and like too planned out, that just doesn't feel natural to me and makes me kind of uncomfortable. So I work a little bit more freely than maybe most people would. Right now, we have our dog, and she's been waking up like super early, so I've been getting up kind of early, but I usually don't start work until like 9 or sometimes 10 o'clock. It really just depends on like what I have going on that day or how I'm feeling. But yeah, generally I work, 5 days a week. I don't like to work on weekends unless it's absolutely necessary. If I do work on weekends, usually it's just on my own stuff or like stuff that I'm actually excited to work on. Other than that, I take weekends off. I don't like to work in the evenings, but it really just changes all the time. Someone asked, what new things did you try that really changed your business? Yeah, so like I said, launching my course was huge. And it's not that everyone needs to launch a course. I didn't even plan on launching a course, really. I had just planned on selling templates that were for other designers. And then as I talked about them more and more on social media and just kind of trying to figure out what people wanted from them, people were just asking for more and more stuff. And so, like, by the end of it, it just ended up being a full out course. Like, I didn't even market it as a course until maybe like a week and a half before, because really it changed that quickly into a course. But that was huge, and really just any sort of passive income that you can find is incredibly helpful financially. Yeah, I mean, I launched my course and it was only like a short period of time that people could sign up for it. I cut it off because I didn't want to have too many people the first time around. So even though it was like a very short launch, I gave people payment plan options, and I'm still getting payments from people. I launched it in February, the end of February, and I'm still getting some payments from people. So that money is just still coming in, which is amazing. And I'm going to do a blog post about launching a course or like passive income, because it's something that I really wanted to do for a long time, but I felt like if I did something for passive income, it needed to be something that I cared about, that was fun to put together. Otherwise, I was just gonna not, like, I would start it and then not finish it. I didn't want it to just be something that was just to make some extra money. I wanted to enjoy it. And it's very hard to find something like that. Especially whenever you're working with clients and doing other stuff, it's hard to devote time to figuring out what's something of value that I can easily offer people and make money off of on the side. So I'm going to do a blog post or something about that. Okay, other things that I did, and this is just kind of a side thing. I mean, obviously I raised my prices. I refined my process a lot just to kind of up the value of my services. But one thing I did, I invested in like a mastermind group. So I'm part of a group that's for designers, and it's run by Morgan from October Inc. And that was whenever that big mindset shift was happening in December, where I was like, I need to change something or else I'm just going to get stuck here. That's whenever I found out that she was doing this like coaching group for other designers, and I was like, I'm just going to do that because I felt like it's like I knew the things that I needed to be doing to grow my business, but I just needed someone to be there to tell me it was okay to do those things, almost giving me permission, and also just to, bounce ideas off of and get advice from. So that was pretty big. It's, I don't know, it's kind of a tough thing to like advise people to do, to find like a mastermind group. It's hard to find the right one, or to work with a coach or something. It's very hard to find the right one. I think that that's really important. You need to make sure that it's a good fit, because otherwise I don't know if you'll necessarily get good results from it. But yeah, working with Morgan, having her as my coach to like go to, especially while I was launching the course. She was so helpful, just like giving me all this advice from her experiences. Those were huge. I'm trying to think of anything else that I did that made a big difference. Oh, okay. Yes. Why didn't I talk about this before? Another thing that I changed is I started switching the way that clients paid me. So before, I would always say, pay me a 50% deposit when you like book your spot with me and sign your contract, and then pay me the rest of the 50% after our project is finished. And I did that because that's what I saw all these other designers doing. Like any designer, I would look on their website, or like check out their media kit or something, and that's how they would explain their payments. So I assumed that that's the best way to do it. Everyone else is doing it. That must be the only way. But whenever I started working with Morgan, she was like, no, you need to set up payment plans, because depending on what kind of service you're offering. For me, branding projects can take like a month. Branding and website projects can take like 3 months. So let's say I'm booking out a month in advance. The client's going to pay me 50% of the project a month in advance. So I'll get a bunch of money at first, then I'll have to wait a month for the project to even start. Then it might take 3 months for the project to even finish, then I get the remaining 50%. So that's like 4 months that I'm going without getting any money for this project. That's a long time. And I started to just kind of feel the weight of how like stressful that was, because my income was so sporadic and just so inconsistent. Like whenever money came into my bank account, it just felt like a surprise each time, because I really had no idea when it would be coming in. And if you're having trouble booking clients consistently, that makes it even worse, obviously. Or if you have projects get delayed and stuff like that. It was just a real problem that I was having to wait so long to get money. So now I set up payment plan options. I still ask for like a 50% deposit, and now I'm booking like 2-3 months in advance, which is another hint that you should probably raise your prices. But I still ask for a deposit, but then whatever the remaining 50%, 70%, whatever, the remaining amount, I do a payment plan and break it up into like 3 or 5 different payments that span throughout the project. And I schedule them by date, not by like a deliverable or a certain milestone in the project. They're scheduled by date. And that is to kind of encourage the client to not delay things. I make very clear, hey, even if something gets delayed, you're still going to be expected to pay me this payment on this date, regardless of where we're at in the project. So that was huge, because now I'm getting payments more like a regular income. They're all more consistent, and I don't know, that's really helped my bank account, because before it felt like, since I was making so little money, it felt like I would get the 50% deposit. I would basically spend most of it within the 4 months and then get the remaining 50%. So it was like my bank account wasn't really changing. It's like it was always just staying at the same level every few months. Anyways, I hope that helps. Someone asked, did you take a class to structure your course, or did you just wing it? I sort of just wing it. I kind of just wing everything. Like I said, I did have my design coach who helped me a lot. She has launched a few different courses, so I was able to ask her tons of questions, get lots of advice on how to set things up and everything. But mostly, I just kind of figured it out as I went. And it went okay. It was okay, but I'm gonna relaunch it again this summer, and we'll see how much things change that time. I don't know. We'll see. How do you block off vacation and time off during months that you have client work and you've promised it will be done within that time frame? Yeah, this is tough. I just had to kind of deal with this. We were planning on taking vacation, and I think when I had talked to some clients that were planning on booking with me, I think I told them, like, hey, we might be taking a vacation time during this time that I'm estimating we'll do the project, so just like keep that in mind. Sometimes if like I think we're going to take time off, or I'm expecting to take some time off, in the like proposal that I send people, whatever estimated timeline that I give them, I'll go ahead and add like 1 week. I don't know, I'll add like 1 week of like margin in there somewhere, and that just gives me a little bit of room where wherever I need to place that week of time off, it's still going to get us finished at the end date that I've pitched to them, if that makes sense. But it's kind of hard because we had to schedule our vacation. We're leaving this week. We had to schedule our vacation like kind of suddenly because we just didn't know our schedules, and all of a sudden we found a time that worked out. So I think I might have disappointed some clients, because then I had to tell them, sorry, we had to just schedule this. I have to change some of our due dates. But yeah, I don't know. It's always kind of tough. It's also really tough for us because with our moves, we never know really when we're going to move. Right now, we think we'll be moving abroad again in August, but we're not sure about that. We don't know where we'll go or when we'll go. Within the basketball world that my husband works in, I don't know. It's very unpredictable. So I always have to be very upfront with clients whenever they're first like reaching out to me. I make sure to explain, hey, sometimes we end up moving unexpectedly and that there's a good chance that could happen while we're working together. So just keep in mind that if that happens, I'm going to handle it as well as I possibly can. But yeah, I just kind of set that expectation with them before they sign a contract with me or anything, so that they know something might happen. I might have to rearrange our schedule, but they're not going to be blindsided by that. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. You just kind of try to handle things as gracefully and be as like kind about it, I think, with your clients as possible. You know, if you're kind with them, then they're more likely to be kind with you when stuff like that happens. So that's just kind of what I try to do. Someone asked, I know you use WordPress for web design. Do you typically use templates, or do you design from scratch? So I have been designing stuff from scratch. There's a couple times whenever I've used a template, but mostly I develop everything from scratch. However, I am right now in the middle of phasing out offering development and starting to outsource that part of projects, because I'm just done with developing, guys. I don't know. I think, like I said, the first quarter of this year, I was so booked out, and I had a lot of website projects. I had like 3 websites going on at one time, and that was totally my fault. I should not have done that. But it was just so much, and coding I enjoy it, but it's really hard. And doing so much at one time can be really awful. So yeah, that's another big change that I'm making in my business, I guess, that I should have talked about earlier, is that I am starting to outsource things now. For the first 3 years, I've been like super selfish with everything in my business. I don't know. I just like to have control over everything. But now I'm getting to a point where I know that I'm booking so far out in advance and trying to raise my prices. So I don't know. I just can't take on as many projects. And especially with web stuff. Web development takes so much work. And I just know that if I keep developing everything myself, I'm not going to be able to take on as many clients. I'm going to have to book out further in advance than I already am, which is going to make people less likely to want to work with me. So I'm just at a point where if I don't outsource stuff, I'm going to be in trouble. Not in trouble, but I'm not going to be able to keep growing. I can only do so much stuff myself. So yeah, that's another change that I'm making, and hopefully it's going to help. Okay, what do you do if someone doesn't pay the invoice? I've had this happen. I've had people who've still never paid me what they owed me, and I just haven't. I mean, it's stuff. Some of those instances, it's been like, it's not really even worth my time to kind of argue about it. Like, I tried reaching out multiple times and everything, and was as nice about it as I could have been, but it's just not worth it. But now I'm setting things up where the final payment, so like I said, I do payment plans, and the final payment is due like a week before I think the project is actually going to finish, so that if they don't pay that final payment, I'm going to know about it, and I can kind of hold off actually finishing stuff. And that will kind of, hopefully that will make them pay the final payment, so that, you know, then I will hand everything over to them, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard lots of designers talk about that. Always make sure that you are paid before you actually hand stuff over. That's just the best way to guarantee that you're going to get paid. But I also think that now, after I've been, you know, marketing myself in a certain way for a while, and I'm attracting specific types of clients that really want to work with me, I also think that has helped, that, I don't know, people who value what you do are going to want to pay you for it, if that makes sense. So I think that's kind of another aspect that maybe you should think about, is like, what types of clients are you attracting? Do they really value your work and like really want to work with you? Yeah. You're just less likely to have to beg people who really value your stuff. Yeah, someone said the payment plan's brilliant. Yeah, it's so helpful. I mean, it's one of those things that, like, why did I not think of that before? But really, it's just because I saw everyone else doing the 50% before, 50% after, and that was it. That's what I saw everyone doing. So that's why I never even thought to try payment plans. And it's just, in my opinion, so much better. It is tough sometimes whenever there are projects that aren't very big or something, like a short project. But yeah, I think it's best. It's easy for the designer because then you're getting paid more consistently. And then it's also convenient for the client because then they're making smaller payments and it just feels more affordable for them. Someone asked what platform I use for invoicing. They said they're using QuickBooks, but exploring other options. Right now I use Hello Bonsai. That's what I use for my contracts and my invoicing. And yeah, I've been happy with them. It's made like specifically for creative freelancers, so they have really great contract templates they have ones already set up for like design or development projects. That's been really helpful for me, but I'm kind of looking into trying out some other things as well. I know a bunch of people use Dubsado. Is that how you say it? And I've been thinking about trying that out, but I'm kind of confused about how to use it. So if anyone has recommendations, Birdie obviously wants to say hi. If anyone has recommendations for how to use Dubsado, let me know, because I don't know. I just am curious if it works well. Someone asked, how do you explain/negotiate the payment to the customer and in a way that they'll agree to it? Okay, in my proposals, I give them what, the final price is going to be. Then I outline payment plan options, and usually I'll give them like 2 different options. Like I said, I'll do one that's like split into 3 payments, or one that's split into 5 payments or something, just kind of depending on how long the project is, what makes the most sense. So I give them those options so that they feel like they have some control and can pick what's best for their budget. Then I have a page in my proposal template that just kind of, it starts with like, how did I come up with this cost? And I just kind of outline some things about, why design costs how much it does, and just the different factors that go into pricing a project. So I talk about, time. Design takes time. I explain like, if I present 3 design concepts to you, I've created, 10 different concepts on my end. It's not like I just come up with things instantly and that's what I present to you. There's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes that you aren't going to see. But that's what makes things end up being good, is that I put so much work into stuff. I talk about value, whatever I'm creating for you is going to bring a bunch of value to your business. It's going to really impact the way you present yourself to your audience. It could help you build better connections with them, help you grow your business. So you're paying for that value of how it's going to impact your business. And then I talk some about experience too. So I have a page in my proposal template that just kind of says, hey, I didn't just come up with this number out of thin air. There are all these reasons why I came up with this number for your price. And yeah, just trying to help them understand the value that they're getting, the experience that I have, the time and the thought that is going into this project. I hope that helps them realize, okay, this money is worth this thing, because I don't know. Now I'm like getting off the rails of what I was saying, but I hope that makes sense. Lots of people are recommending Wave accounting. I can't remember. I tried so many different things whenever I first started. Someone said try Anco. Yeah, I think I've signed up for so many different ones and done like free trials. Bonsai, I do really love Bonsai. I think that it's very efficient. Everything's really simple to use. I love it. I've just been interested in Dubsado, not for really the contracts or the invoicing stuff, but for how it sets up like leads and just kind of making sure that you're on top of getting back to potential clients and stuff like that. That's kind of more of what I'm trying to find, because I do everything through email and I do things pretty efficiently, but I'm just, I don't know, wanting to see if I can make it more streamlined. Someone said HoneyBook. I have a client who uses HoneyBook as well. Someone asked, how did you pick the name for your business? I love getting this question. So, like I said, since I started my business because I travel with my husband for his job. So that was the whole reason that I started this. I didn't plan on this. It was really solely so that I could work while we traveled. So the name Wayfarer means a traveler, and that's kind of why I picked that name, because I knew that this business would be so, kind of everything about it would revolve around us traveling. But I think whenever I was coming up with it, I was obviously coming up with like deeper meanings to that word. The traveling aspect is pretty obvious, but to me, I also felt like I mainly work with small businesses, and starting a small business is such a crazy journey, and usually whenever you start, you don't exactly know where you're going to end up. So for me, it felt like Wayfarer described me because I was literally traveling, but also describes the clients that I work with because they're small business owners. Most of them are in the early stages, kind of, so they're kind of traveling along this business journey as well. And that's kind of where the name came from. So I think those are all the different questions that people asked. But yeah, so I'm probably going to get off here in a little bit. I said I was going to be eating my lunch while I did this, but I talked too much. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out and just like listening to me talk about money. I don't know, like I said, it's a thing that has so much secrecy around it within the entrepreneur world, and I'm just trying to be transparent with it, I guess. And the more that I keep talking about it and like sharing real numbers and sharing the real things that I'm trying to do and just kind of experiments to see what works for me, what doesn't, the more that I get people saying how helpful that is. And that's all I want, like I said, this is stuff that I wanted to hear whenever I was first starting. So that's my main goal here, is to just be honest, make people feel a little less alone. Yeah. Someone asked something really quick. Do you think a business name is better than just using your own name as a freelancer? I've been agonizing over that decision for months. I don't know if I have a good answer for that, because it can go both ways. I don't know why I didn't want to use my name as my business name. I don't know. It just didn't feel right. I felt more connected to having a name that was not my name. Most people would say if you're trying to like grow a team or hire employees, then obviously having the name be your actual name maybe isn't the best idea if you're hiring other people. But for me, I don't really plan on hiring other people. I think I will stay solo forever. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's up to you. Yeah, someone gave us the advice to use a different name so the company can go beyond you. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I don't know, but like I said, I don't envision me growing Wayfarer beyond just me, but I don't know. Naming it Wayfarer just felt right. It would feel really weird if I named it like Abby. My name is still technically Abby Estep. Maybe that's also it, because I had just gotten married and I was planning on changing my last name, but we immediately moved abroad. So I didn't get to change my last name, and I still haven't changed my last name. Just because we've been traveling so much, and if I change it, I have to change my passport and everything. So maybe that's also a reason why I didn't want to name it after me, because I didn't know what my name was going to be or when it would change. But anyways, okay, yeah, I've been on here for an hour, so I should probably get off. But thank you guys so much for everyone who stuck around, and if you have other questions for me or something, you can shoot me a message and I'll try to respond. We're about to go on vacation, so I'm not going to be on here that much, but yeah, thank you so much. And like I said, I'm going to try to save this. It's going to be up for 24 hours if you want to watch it, rewatch it or something. I'm going to try to save it to my phone, but I've had that not work in the past. And it's like, if you miss that one shot to download it onto your phone, then it's gone forever. So I can't guarantee that it will be there. But I will try and I'll let you know. But if it doesn't work or something, you can go to my blog and check out the different blog posts that I've done on pricing and money and stuff like that. So yeah, okay. Thank you guys so much, and have a great rest of your day.